Welcome back, entrepreneur. Today we're going to talk about network mapping. So before we begin, grab your business model canvas. If you haven't completed it already, finish that up because we're going to need that for reference. Download the worksheet associated with this module and open your notebook or your drive to take notes for further brainstorming. A little bit about me before we begin. My name is Jenny Baxter. Hello. I have been at Leap since 2019. I do events, outreach, and admin. And prior to that, I worked in the nonprofit sector at a place called Innovation Works, which is a co-working space designed to bring together entrepreneurs and small businesses and form collaborations. So I was part of the team that facilitated those collaborations between our co-tenants. So network mapping is kind of my jam. So to begin, first, it's important to remember that no business exists on an island. You know, no entrepreneur can do everything themselves. Of course, it's great to be multi-skilled and have all these talents that you can use, but, you know, I bet there's things that you can't do, or maybe you just shouldn't do. So the best advice that we can give you in building your network and bringing on new skill sets is to play to your strengths and hire your weaknesses. So when it comes to network mapping, it's all about who you know or who the people you know. So you know Jim, Jim knows Bob, maybe you need Bob. We're going to outline some ways to access your network and grow it, but how do you know who you need so you can figure out what your network already has and what it doesn't? We're going to start with the business model canvas that you've likely completed or in the process of completing. And we're specifically going to look at these three areas. So your key partners, your key activities, and your resources. For brainstorming purposes, let's start with key activities. What activities have you determined will be required for you to start and grow your business, let's say in the next 18 months? Some of these are examples that will work for you, and maybe you may have more or different options depending on your business or your business model canvas, but we'll go through these. We might have to break it down even further. You know, here we ask ourselves what we can do and what we can't do for our business. So in terms of production or sales and marketing, you know, you may be able to do all that, but when it comes to financials, you know, are you able to bookkeep for yourself? Can you do payroll? There's lots of these things that may not be in your tool belt, but we'll show you how to put them there. You know, some of these things that you might be able to do for 6 months, but you might need someone at 12 months or 18 months as your business grows. So on your worksheet, you'll see a table similar to this one. Input your key activities at whatever detail you need, then assign them to either you, someone you already know, maybe someone on your team, or maybe you're not sure. For the ones you're not sure of, ask yourself who you might know and where they might be able to help. If you only see yourself doing these things for a set period of time, who do you know that might be able to connect with it? Who do you know that you might be able to connect with in the future? And maybe you don't know someone, but you know someone who might know someone. Put them down too. There's no wrong answer. If a table's not really your style and you're more of a visual person like me, you can also brainstorm a map, and that might help as well. So as you go through that, you can color code yourself for yourself and maybe something for others. So, you know, orange is something that you can do, whereas blue might be something you need someone else for. Now repeat the brainstorm. This list might be a little bit shorter than your key activities, and it might also have some crossover with key activities, but that's okay. You know, your key resources are something that play into your business all the time. So if someone keeps coming up, that means they're a crucial part of your network. So this is what the table looks like. So for example, if you need a place to rent or a property, you can access yourself, you know, your home office, you're already set up here. Or you can also ask your landlord, you know, do you have any other spaces available? As well as materials, you know. I might be able to provide all the materials for my jewelry making business. But there's other people that have certain beads or certain products that I might want to use as well. And so I put them down. Maybe some of these are more relevant to you than others, but potential retail partners and social media influencers might be a much longer list of people for you. So now you have 3 charts or brainstorming clouds with names. These names are either people you can access directly and know, or they might be people that know the people that you need to know. Where are all the people? It's entirely possible that you brainstormed and could only come up with a few names. That's all right. We're going to explore the entrepreneurial networking and how to establish and build a larger network so that you can start filling in more of those names. And maybe you'll realize that you have a larger network than you think. For shameless self-promotion, let's talk about LEAP first. So LEAP Junction is accessible to all Fanshawe students and alumni. If you need support in any of your key activities, we're here to help you and connect you. We host tons of networking events and we also engage with the Entrepreneurship Club at Fanshawe. Obviously, COVID-19 put a little spin in those plans, but when we're back in person and ready to go, then we're there. But we also have connections outside of Fanshawe that can help. Some of our first recommendation will be the London Entrepreneurial Support Network, or the ESN. So this is the ESN. These are organizations dedicated to helping entrepreneurs grow their network, their business, and sometimes even their funding. So Tech Alliance is the first one, and it's what's considered an RIC, or Regional Innovation Center. They focus on tech-based businesses and startups and run networking events and engage entrepreneurs in opportunities for funding. Pillar Nonprofit Network, which is where I was at before, located at Innovation Works, the Social Innovation Hub downtown, is a support resource for not-for-profits and social enterprises in southwestern Ontario. Small Business Center is a great resource for small businesses. They provide workshops for specifically small business areas, networking events, funding initiatives, and connections with professional services as reduced rates to entrepreneurs. So think legal and financial advice. Propel is the LEAP Junction at Western University. So they started a campus link accelerator and provide similar supports. They have connections to Ivy Business School, as well as the Western Accelerator that is similar to our LEAP-In Accelerator. The RH Accelerator is exactly what it says, an accelerator. They provide support, investment, mentorship, and space to budding entrepreneurs and new startups that have grown a healthy network of their own. Futurepreneur is for entrepreneurs aged 18 to 39 who are looking for mentorship, networks, and potentially funding. There's also the London Economic Development Corporation, or LEDC, as most people call it, provides community engagement. They provide community engagement events, scale-up support, workforce development, and expansion planning in centralized London in a centralized location for London's largest sectors. The Better Business Bureau of Southwestern Ontario is a not-for-profit organization that establishes marketplace trust in the community and among entrepreneurial networks. And finally, we have Fanshawe's own mentorship and networking program, Inspire, that can connect you to an entrepreneurial mentor in your industry. Connecting with any of these organizations will provide you with entrepreneurs that you'll know what to do with. Networking events are often planned by these organizations, so getting on their mailing lists will help you keep track of everything happening in the city. It's also important to remember that not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur to be in your network. If someone does freelance work on the side of their day job, or works for a company whose services you might need, building those relationships in too will help you with the long run. So now you have your network on paper, but how do you connect with them or your business in a meaningful way? Some of these are transactional relationships and they're quite simple. You pay them to do the work that you need and that's the end. These people are in your network, but they might not be significant players. They could be significant players though if they are your employees. It's important while building your business to acknowledge that employees or contract workers are a part of your network for success, and treating them as such will only build that network stronger. Maybe your service or product is something that can be traded with the names on your list. Maybe you're a social media marketer and they're an accountant. If you offer them a promotion strategy, maybe they'll help you with your taxes. Make sure the trade is clear and definite, no open-ended timelines or services. You could partner with them. Maybe someone's skill set is so valuable to your business that you ask them to be your partner. We'll talk about establishing effective and secure partnerships later in this presentation, in later presentations in the series. And sometimes you need people in your network to support and be supported in return. Any successful entrepreneur will tell you that having a support network to bounce ideas off of is one of the most powerful resources in their toolkit. But if you're going to ask for support, you need to be prepared to return that support. Remember that you're in other people's networks too. So here's some tips for building and maintaining your network. Number 1, don't use people, access them. Your network is an integral part of building a business, and people know when they're being used. You want to establish meaningful connections and with a premise of trust and integrity. When you ask for help, make sure that it's help you really need. Your network isn't there for people to build your business for you. You have to do that. Help is granted to bridge the gaps, not to carry you from one success point to the next. Number 2, show up. Fashionably late isn't entrepreneurial. Seek out and show up to events. If you say that you'll be somewhere, be there. And being fashionably late isn't entrepreneurial. Be on time or 5 minutes early. You never know who will be there and who you might have access to in a more personal way if nobody else has yet shown up. So number 4, yes or no questions shut down a conversation pretty quickly. Make sure you ask open-ended questions like, what do you do? How do you find your industry is faring during or post-COVID? Oh, you work in this industry. I saw recently, and you can refer back to an article that you read or anything like that. What do you think about that? Ask their opinion. Number 5, it's not all about business. Avoid overly personal topics, but it's important to establish that you're people too. People like to talk about their hobbies and interests just as much as they like to talk about their business. And you might have different businesses, but you could share common interests, which leads the conversation towards meaningful connection. Be mindful of people's time. Especially in larger networking situations, there are lots of people to meet and lots of people to get excited about. You can learn something new from everyone. So exchange the information with business cards or connect later on LinkedIn or via email if you want to continue your conversation. If you meet up with someone later, be very specific about the time that you'd like to chat with them for. If you want to meet for a coffee, make sure it lasts the span of a coffee. Number 7, follow up. Even if it's a thank you, make sure that you follow up with anyone that has given you partially good advice or a useful connection. If you asked for a connection, thank the person who connected you. If you have an illuminating conversation or went for a coffee, thank that person for their time and their insight. It'll strengthen the relationship in the long term so you can go back and connect with them later. It's also nice to see someone familiar in a crowded room and know that you have a positive relationship with them to start a new conversation. And number 8, pay it forward when you can. One day you will be a veteran entrepreneur. Show up to networking events to provide your own insight to success. Maybe you pass on that info that you learned from someone else. Credit those people and share it around. No business is on an island, and even if your company is up to some top secret info, not everything you do needs to be top secret, especially when it comes to building a network and encouraging people to connect. So maybe mentorship is the way to go. Maybe in your course of networking, you've met someone that you really admire, or you've connected with someone through the Fanshaw's Inspire program, and you want to make that connection meaningful for both of you. Here's how to be a good mentee while working with a mentor. So to be a good mentee, you got to follow these steps. Number 1, be clear with your needs. This means if you're going to ask someone to mentor you, you need to be very clear on what you need from them. Asking someone that's successful just to hang out with you isn't going to be productive for either one of you. If you think someone has marketed their business very well, ask them to mentor you in that area. Number 2, respect your mentor. Respecting your mentor is a no-brainer, but something to remember. If you set a meeting with them, make it. If you told them that you'd bring the work to go over, make sure you bring it with you and you show up. Appreciate them and demonstrate that by respecting their time and their input. Number 3, do the work. If they think you should explore a new component of your business model canvas, explore it. If they suggest you read an article, read it. You've asked them to help you in your business, so remain informed and do the work. Number 4, ask questions that are relevant to the reason they're mentoring you, and make sure that you hear their answers. Absorb the information, hear what they're saying, internalize what's useful. Most people really struggle listening to absorb instead of listening to respond. But if you change the way you listen, it might be the best skill that you'll ever know. Number 5, disagree constructively. So even if someone is the most successful entrepreneur you know, and they still aren't running your business, you're allowed to disagree, and you're allowed to take only what's useful and discard the rest. But you should disagree with respect, provide backup reasoning for why this may not work for you, and always thank your mentor for their insight anyway. Number 6, be open to feedback. So feedback can be really hard to hear sometimes, especially something that we're not expecting. But trust that your mentor has the best intentions for you at heart, and their advice is coming from a place of informed understanding. Constructive criticism and feedback is meant to help you succeed, even if it means that you need to pivot a bit to get there. The last form of network building we will talk about is partnership. So partnership without communication usually results in business breakdown. So we want to make sure that you're prepared for partnership now as you start your business, or in the future if you choose to bring someone in whose skill set will complement your own. Although you can pause the video here, if you're not considering partnership, it's a good idea to have this info in the back of your mind as you model your business. You never know what might come up. If you're partnering with someone, you should be establishing a partnership agreement right from the beginning. Even if no money is invested and it's a sweat equity at first for both of you, a partnership agreement should exist. If you are serious about this business and want everything to be fair, it is worth consulting a legal professional to ensure the agreement works for both parties and will protect everyone as you move forward and scale your business. Speaking of legal assistance, partnership is a legal and financial decision. Consulting professionals in those areas make sure everything runs smoothly and going forward. Getting a lawyer and an accountant to look over your business plan, agreements, NDAs, etc. is wise and worth spending the money on. And partnership is a business and a personal relationship. You should like the person that you're going to partner with. You should trust them and you should respect them. Their business expectations should align with yours. And it's also important to stress these points as you consider potentially partnering with friends, family, or life partners. Business can get in the way of good relationships, so establishing boundaries and a legal agreement can help you ensure that a relationship breakdown doesn't mean a business breakdown. We have some questions for you to ask yourself as well. These include, how should we divide the shares? How will decisions get made? What happens if one of us leaves the company? Can we be fired? By whom? For what reason? Will this be a primary activity for the both of us? What part of the plan are we each unwilling to change? What contractual items will each of us sign with the company? Will we invest cash into the company? How much? How much does that mean for ownership? What will we pay ourselves? Who gets to change this in the future? So what's next? Build out your network map and include anything really important on your business model canvas. Book an appointment to work with your business advisor and on your network map to see if you can expand and build it. Use our online form to book your appointment with us. You want to get in touch? leapjunction.ca is our website. Facebook.com/leapfanshawe is our Facebook page. And you can find us on Instagram and Twitter @leapjunction.